Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. It's Thursday, so we have you here for Thursday Tier Talk. I'm flying solo this week. Darren is away on holidays with his family, having a great time, heading over to Manchester, and he's going to be heading to that big game, that Super Sunday, Man United versus Arsenal. But I'm here, I'm going to bring you through a whole Premier League preview. We're going to talk a little bit about the Champions League. We're going to be talking about the nominees for Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, and also Manager of the Year. And I would also like to spare a thought for this guy here. If you're at the game tonight, spare a thought for this guy. Not only is he selling half and half scarves, but he has Aston Villa on the scarf. So if you are over there and you're an Aston Villa fan, throw this lad a few quid. Pick a scarf up off him, will you? He's having a bad day. Can't be. I don't know anyone out there is having a worse day than this guy at the moment. A whole table full of these half and half scarves, all wrong. But let us know your thoughts anyway. We'll keep you up to date as well. Also on what's going on in the European fixtures tonight. Atalanta 1-0 up at the moment, 2-1 on aggregate against Marseille. Bayer Leverkusen just going 1-0 down to Roma just before half time there, but 2-1 up on aggregate in that tie as well. Both ties nicely poised. Still not sure who's going to make it all the way to Dublin for the final, but we shall see, and we'll keep you updated on that. And also Aston Villa at the moment, 5-2 down on aggregate, 1-0 down on the night, coughing up an early goal. Not what they wanted. Watched the first half there. They huffed and they puffed, but they can't blow the house down. They're kind of nearly doing everything right, but where they're really, really struggling at the moment, I don't think they've any belief at the minute, and I think that's a real problem. But the second halves have just kicked off, and we'll keep you updated on them if anything's going on during the actual show. But right, let's get back into. We'll start with a Premier League preview. Always good fun stuff that, and we'll also go into the chat. Welcome all our guests to the chat as we always do. Starting off with Joanne, who's always there. Big up, Joanne. How are you? Hope you have your predictions for tonight ready and stuff like that. I picked out a few bets as well, folks, for Beat the Bookie. So I have a result on both the score bet, I have a goal scorer bet, and I have a player to be shown a card bet as well. So 3 bets there for you as well for later on. So make sure you check that out. Eno's in. What's up, Eno? What's the crack, Niall? How are you? Good to see you. And Morris is in. Morris on the campaign trail at the moment. Where's Ange's best mate, Darren? He's away in Manchester, living it up with the family, and he'll be at the game on Sunday. Ian's in. I've some catching up with the Champions League. There's no catching up to be done. It's Real Madrid versus Dortmund, and we will talk about it. Going solo tonight. I am going solo tonight, Joanne. As you know, no matter what happens, the show must go on, as that great man once said. So we'll still be bringing you to do every week. Make sure to get your predictions in there, folks. Just to let you know as well, one of our subscribers as well, who's normally in the chat as well, Andrew. Happy birthday to Andrew. It was his birthday yesterday. Big Randy Orton fan and a Man United fan. So Andrew, happy birthday to you, my friend. Hope you had a great one yesterday. Right. Before we get into this Premier League preview, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Pat McAfee not on this week. No. Flying solo this week. He's on his holidays. Ric Flair. There we go. Ric Flair. Good Lord. Yeah, absolutely. Styling and profiling. Acers. Dublin Castle has Europa League fan zone. It'll be empty. It'll be empty, I would imagine. Right, let's start. We start off. What a contrasting start to the weekend as well. We have Fulham and Man City, basically the first game of the week's end. And of course, Man United and Arsenal practically rounding up. I know Aston Villa versus Liverpool on the Monday night, but great to see the spacing and the contrast there. Kind of strange we only have one Super Sunday game on, but we know that there's playoffs going on and stuff like that as well. So they take priority as well. And congratulations to Leicester. Congratulations to Ipswich, who got promoted as well. Leeds narrowly missing out. What does that mean now? Generally not very good in the playoffs. Can Leeds muster up couple more games to try and get back into the Premier League, or will it be curtains for them for another season as well? Let's see what happens there. But hats off. What a job Kieran McKenna did at Ipswich this season. Really, really good in the end. City already have Premier League title wrapped up 4 in a row. Well, they don't already have it wrapped up, but we shall see. That's what we're all expecting. Right, so let's start. Fulham versus Man City. Fulham with an indifferent season, languishing down in 13th. Started off pretty good this season, but drastically fell away. And then we got that kind of Jekyll and Hyde effect where from week to week, similar to Brighton as well, we just didn't know which Fulham side would show up. But down at Craven Cottage, I would expect Man City to be full value for the win and laying down the marker for the weekend. So Man City to win here, I think probably 3 or 4-1. That's what I'm thinking. Spot on, Acers. There you go. 4-1. We think alike, my friend. We think alike. Bournemouth versus Brentford. Bournemouth, who have had a stellar season by their standards as well. They've been really good. Obviously, Billing, Solanke, all these guys playing absolutely out of their skin. Brentford, on the other hand, started out okay, but has badly fallen away. And it's mad to think that their fall off has coincided with the return of Ivan Toney. Who would have thought that? But both teams with not a lot to play for. Bournemouth in 10th, having done a real good season. Of course, Raiola was nominated for one of the managers of the season as well, and we will take a look at that. Brentford down in 16th. We're kind of looking over their shoulder, but I doubt they're looking over their shoulder anymore. I think they'll be probably okay. So I think I'm going to go probably for a 1-1 here. Acers, Desmond, he's going for a 2-2. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And Joanne's going for a 2-2 Man City and Fulham. It's the hope that kills us, Joanne, isn't it? I know well as a Liverpool fan. Everton versus Sheffield United. Everton already safe. Deutsch, what a job Deutsch has done there, even in the face of 2-point deductions. Has done an absolutely stellar job. Sheffield United on the other side have fell away really, really bad. Really poor points total. 16 so far, 36 games, but a minus 65 goal difference. And I was only looking at the league table today, folks, and I was thinking, good Lord, when you look at the goal differences going down through it and stuff like that, it's absolutely crazy when you think outside of the top 7. Like, you think of Chelsea, even as tough a season as Chelsea have had, as tough a season as they had, their goal difference, they're now up in 7th. And they're only, 2 points off Newcastle, and it's just, but their goal difference is like 11. And then you look below them, this is where it starts from 8 down. Man United in 8th at the moment, a minus 3 goal difference. And you see, injuries are tough at the moment for them and stuff like that. But you see that performance there against Crystal Palace the other night was just absolutely shocking. And to have, like, with 2, well, United have 3 games to go, is it? So you're looking at the Premier League table there and you're thinking, my God, so poor. So poor from them this season. Angels are going with a Toffees win. Joanna's going with a 3-0 win to Sheffield United. Yeah, I think Everton. I think Sheffield United will probably score. But I think Everton will run out winners. I think they'll buy out by being safe now. A lot of talk going on there at the moment. The investment team might be proceeding now and stuff like that. The new stadium, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to be positive about. I suppose the real betting this weekend in relation to the Everton game, does Deutsch now revert back to the short and tie, or does he stay in the trackies? Let's see what happens there. Atalanta 2-0 up now, Acers is telling us. So that's probably 3-1 on aggregate now, so they should be pretty okay to go. Acers, United 1 point from 9. Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? United versus Arsenal, draw written all over it. We'll come to it. Let's pace ourselves. Newcastle versus Brighton. Newcastle absolutely flying at the moment, in a great vein of form, scoring goals for fun. Alexander Isak, absolutely brilliant. Sitting in 6th at the moment, looking to push on potentially now and solidify a European spot, probably in the Europa League or the Europa Conference. But that's what they'll be looking for. And that's probably what they need as well, because that the way they bowed out of the Champions League this season, and then the run they went on when they had those bad injuries and stuff like that, really, really scuppered their season this season. But over the last number of weeks, they found form and gradually come back up the table again. So I'm expecting a Newcastle win. For Brighton, it's been an indifferent season under De Zerbi. Lots of changes all the time. Really, really struggled found it hard to adjust to the players that went out the door and stuff like that. Too much quality left. And again, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. One week can look really, really brilliant. Next week, look really, really poor and stuff like that. And, the lack of form from Evan Ferguson and players like that. And then obviously losing the players that they did. They literally lost the whole heart of their midfield with Cashado, Basuma the season before. And then obviously Alexis McAllister to my Liverpool and stuff like that as well. Really, really tough on them. But expect Newcastle to run out winners here. Probably again, comfortable enough. I'd expect Brighton might get one, so somewhere around 3-4-1. Good shout, Joanne. Absolute great shout, 3-4-1. Ace says Newcastle will destroy Brighton and United. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Spurs versus Burnley. This is going to be an interesting game of the season. Burnley, although they're still in serious trouble down below, really struggling. But have found some form recently, have picked it up and found that little bit of form in the way that they're playing and stuff like that. But it's probably going to be too little too late. With Spurs, at some stage they have to bounce back and find form. I know their confidence and stuff like that is shot, but realistically looking at it at the moment, like European spots are on the line here for them now, so they really need to shake it up and try and get another win under their belt. And I think Spurs will run out winners here. Again, I'd fancy both teams to score, but Spurs to win. I don't expect any shocks here. Joanne's going against me on this one. She's going for a Burnley 1-0 win. Tough one to get that over there, Burnley, at the new White Hart Lane. I think it would be tough, even in the form that they're in at the moment. But Ange will have them pumped up for this. And I have Madison later mentioned in a bit. So I'm going to go with Spurs win here, but probably both teams to score. West Ham versus Luton. This is a real kind of drab kind of throwaway, really. Luton still trying to fight as hard as they can, but they're battling away there with Nottingham Forest. Goal difference might be the thing that really scuppers them and stuff like that. But Luton really need a win here. Tough place to go as well, off to West Ham. But West Ham not really playing very well at the moment. Obviously, talk David Moyes out of the building, talking Lopetegui coming in, that a deal has been struck. So they have confirmed David Moyes going out of the building. So I don't know. This could be one where Luton could actually pick up the points. Not sure which way to go on this. It kind of smells a kind of a draw, I think. But what a final day we would be going into if Luton were to pick up the win here. Draw level on points with Nottingham Forest, and goal difference being the thing would be very, very interesting. Tottenham will beat Burnley and humiliation defeat City. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? West Ham 0, Luton 2. Yeah, that would kill. That would set up for a good end of day, wouldn't it? Next up, Wolves versus Crystal Palace. Folks, what can we say about Glasner and Crystal Palace? Good Lord, they've been absolutely exceptional, haven't they? Unbelievable, Crystal Palace. Seeing them playing there against United. Now, I know it was a badly hit, injured, struck United and stuff like that, but the way in which they play and they're coached and the flow and the options that they have and the movement and the link-up play and, the power of Mateta, Elise, Eze, all these different players, the midfield of Hughes and Wharton and all, not to mention what they have at the back. Absolutely sensational, Crystal Palace at the moment. And sitting in 14th, I'd say looking at Crystal Palace and Crystal Palace fans at the moment, they're probably wishing the season is only starting because the form they're showing is absolutely electric. Wolves, on the other hand, under Gary O'Neill, have had some reasonable football. They've played some reasonable football, but again, Neto in and out of the team, who's a figurehead for them and stuff like that. Gary O'Neill has had to shuffle the deck quite a lot there as well in recent times, so they have fallen away. But boy, they can be pretty proud. They have picked up some serious wins over the course of the season and stuff like that, and they can go into the summer hopefully looking to strengthen and stuff like that, and just kind of bow out. But we shall see what happens. But Palace need to be on guard come the end of the season, because I have a funny feeling a lot of people will be going in there looking for a lot of their players, so they'll need to be really careful. In terms of score, probably 3-1 Palace, I'm thinking. 3-1 Palace. Let's see. Where are we? Yeah, she went from Luton, went from Joanne, and then League Gunner is Real Madrid members now. Wolves 0, Crystal Palace 2. Yeah, I think Wolves might pick up a goal because they're at home. But certainly you could see Palace winning. Palace were absolutely fantastic at Anfield. They were. They've been absolutely fantastic since Glasner's come in. There's nowhere they've been really bad. They've been absolutely sensational. And look, we knew they always had the players there. We just knew that they kind of needed a way of coaching that gave them a confidence and on the front foot, and players being allowed to go out there and express themselves. And I think if you were to interview Glasner now at this stage, he'll say, I didn't really change a whole lot when I came in. I just structured them in a way that they're more attacking to utilise the gifts that the players have there and let them play with the freedom that they need. That's what they've been doing. And obviously, Elise coming back as well has been huge for them as well, because he's an absolute sensational player. Be surprised if he's there next season, but let's see where he goes. Joanne, Nottingham Forest 2, Chelsea 2. Chelsea will beat Forest. Yeah, I think Chelsea will beat Forest as well. Yeah. Forest versus Chelsea. Yeah, I think Chelsea are suddenly finding a bit of rhythm, aren't they? They've suddenly had a few players back. They suddenly have settled down somewhat in terms of starting 11s and stuff like that and all. And I think that was always going to be the case with Chelsea. I know there was a lot of issues there in relation to Poch and his man management and his in-game management and all this kind of stuff. But I think it was kind of, he really needed to kind of find a rhythm and find the players that were in there. And you found that every time he kind of, sometimes when he found a rhythm and found a lineup, players were getting injured or players were out and stuff like that. And listen, don't sleep on the injuries that Chelsea have had, and yet they're still up the table there. I think they're up into seventh now, touching on a European spot for next season, which would have been unheard of, and ahead of United, just barely on goal difference, same points, but still the goal difference is significant. Chelsea with 11, United with -3. It's going to be an absolutely tough one. But I think Chelsea, I think under Poch, I think in recent weeks you can see some of the stuff he's been trying to be working on, and I think Chelsea looks slightly less disjointed than they did. And I think there's a lot of positivity maybe that Chelsea fans can potentially take into next season, build on it, get a sprinkling of experience in around some of those youth players. Obviously, key getting Reece James back and Ben Chilwell back to fitness. Obviously, Conor Gallagher in the midfield and stuff like that. Fofana at the back, really, really important. And obviously, Nicholas Jackson will have a season under his belt and stuff like that. So Madueke as well. So there's a lot to work there in terms of Chelsea. I know they've had a poor season and stuff like that and all, but by their standards. But we did say at the start of the season that the Chelsea project and the way in which they structured it, although it didn't actually work, they needed that Madison, that bit of experience maybe to go in there. We said it would be a 2 or a 3 year project, and that you would see the benefit of what they did at Chelsea maybe 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. So I expect big things from Chelsea next season. But it remains to be seen, is Poch going to be in charge? Is he not going to be in charge? Let's see what happens there. I don't think the board that's there is as trigger happy as the previous owner, let's say, but let's see what happens overall. Let's take some of your comments. Joanna, as I said, she's going for a 2-2 in the Chelsea game. I think Chelsea will win. Chelsea will beat Forest, yeah, he says, I think so. Big up, pal. How are you? Big up, Barry. Good to see you, my friend. Martin, big up. Good to see you. Where's Darren? He's on his holly pops. He's away for 4 days on holidays in the UK in Manchester, and he's going to be at the big game on Sunday against Arsenal. Acers with Roma with a penalty. And my friend is in, my resident referee, all the way from Stockley Park in West Dublin. On the way home, I'd imagine. Evening, cuz. Sorry couldn't make it on, not long out of work. Not a bother at all, pal. It's all good, all good. Enjoying the Chelsea project. Absolutely, yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. We do like to keep stock of it. Roma now 2-0 up, and I think that's 2-all on aggregate. That's going to be really, really interesting to see the way that pans out. So then we're left with a long day to get to this game, but obviously Super Sunday. I think Chelsea, 3-1, I think is going to be my prediction. Then Super Sunday obviously rolls in. Man United at Old Trafford versus Arsenal. Normally a top game here. And this is going to be really decided based on availability and what Ten Hag has at his disposal. If we are looking at anything like the shadow that we've seen against Crystal Palace, they're going to have a real problem against this Arsenal side. And this Arsenal side look hungry. They may fall short come the title race, but certainly they've given an amazing account of themselves, and they ain't given up by any stretch and stuff like that. But obviously going to Old Trafford, and we've said it before that sometimes form in these games can go out the window. We've heard Darren at times on the show talking about how he doesn't regard Arsenal as being this big club, this rival, and all this kind of thing. So let's see what happens come Sunday. No doubt Arteta will have Arsenal on it. But this is the big one, and we're assuming at this stage that City will have gone top with the result at Craven Cottage. Anything else, I would be very, very shocked. So the pressure is going to be on Arsenal to go out there and do that. But my only fear in this is that with Man United, they just don't have an 11 that's competitive enough out there. And you can see with the nominations today in terms of players of the season and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, have a little bit of debate about it and all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to be potentially a tough day at the office for Man United. And I know, the results there. I think it's 1 win and 16 or something like that at Old Trafford. But I think this is a very different Arsenal side and a very different Man United side. And I would expect Arsenal to win 3-1. 3-1. Joanne's going for a 4-0, clean sheet and all. United will get draw against Arsenal. You think, Aces, you're predicting the draw. Get good money on that if you're betting on it. Morris is coming in 10-0. 10-0. Break the Premier League record. That's it. Take that Man City approach. Don't only beat them, but absolutely embarrass them. Isn't that the way? Isn't that the way? Acers, Rashford and Martinez and Fernandez all back. That would be huge for United if that's the case. And absolutely massive. And that's really what they need. Let's see what happens. But that's it. An hour before kickoff is when the tale will be told, really, when we see the lineups. We're going to get wins, but I think it end up being 3-0. 3-0. Big shout, big up, Ted. Arsenal Old Trafford record is shambolic. It is, but these are very different times, and records at the moment are being broken all over the place this season that you would never expect. And I think Arsenal going there, I think it's going to be tough. Now look, let's see what happens, but it's going to be tough. I have a feeling Arsenal are finally going to get revenge for the 8-2 game. Yeah, it's not a bad show. It's not a bad show. It's a brave man. It's a brave man at the moment. All things considered, when you think of the information that's in front of you at the moment, not an hour before kickoff, you'd be hard pressed to back against Arsenal, who have been really going at it. Really going at it. I think City will have played 2 games before that game, won't they? No. City have Fulham. City have Fulham, and then they have Tottenham, isn't it? I think on Thursday, and then they round it out with. Let me see now. They round it out then with Man City, West Ham. So it's only the one game. Only the one game prior to that. But as I said, unbelievable. Liverpool will destroy Villa 4-1. I'm not too sure about that, Aces. I would have predicted a big win at Villa Park for us if Villa had gone through tonight. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Being, I think, I'm not sure, the 5-2 down still on aggregate or whatever it is. And let me take a check on the scores. Yeah, it's still 1-0 to Olympiacos, 68 minutes gone. 5-2 down on aggregate. So obviously, if he had got through, I think he would have rang the changes, but I don't think that's the case. So looking at Aston Villa versus Liverpool, your Monday night football, I think this is going to be a really, really good match. I think 2 teams who really want to play football and stuff like that. We have kind of, on the back of that Spurs game, found a little bit of rhythm again and a little bit of something to smile about and a little bit of confidence and stuff like that. It's nothing to do with the title race or anything like that, because I think Manchester City will ruin that at lunchtime on Saturday, where we will be mathematically taken out of the title race. Not that we're kind of in it anyway, but I mean, if you're still in it, you're in it. Isn't that what they say? But I think this will be a real good game, but I could see this finishing in a draw, maybe 2-2 draw, Aston Villa Liverpool. So let's see what happens there. All the Arsenal lads be cheering Spurs in the City Spurs game, 100%. 100% been there, haven't we all, and wrote the book. Aces is West Ham. West Ham. West Ham. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, West Ham, the last game, yeah. City will win the title at Tottenham on Tuesday night. You think? A big show. Big show. Like in 99, Ted, when they wanted Spurs to beat us. Beat. And then Ted, yeah, Mark, I'll be digging out those Spurs jerseys again. There you go. There you go. So that's our roundup of what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna round out the weekend kind of as you are. And then it'll be obviously the Tottenham game during the week, and then it'll push on to the West Ham game. And isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we want? A big end of season. You know, the top four has nearly taken care of itself. It's more or less done and dusted at this stage. Um, I think Villa will tie it down. I don't think there's going to be an issue there. I don't see Tottenham coming back. I don't know what's going to happen with the City game. But then it's going to be very interesting to see how those Europa spots go, and whether teams even really want it. A lot of talk at the moment that from the profit and sustainability in the FFP, some teams may or may not want it, because for some teams, between bonuses and costs and all that kind of stuff, it nearly costs them more to partake in Thursday evening or afternoon football. So let's see what happens there. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Maybe some of these teams that need to go through, maybe the likes of United, who maybe need to go through a little bit of not so much a rebuild, but a little bit of a transformation. And maybe if Ten Hag is exiting the building, potentially, who knows, maybe not having the Europa Conference or whatever it is could be better for them. But we shall see. We shall see. Mark, you're in the chat there. Talk to me about this. I haven't seen Romy One Kenobi yet. He hasn't been in the chat, but let me know. What was your thoughts on this last night? Goal, no goal? Let me know. But I tell you, it's very interesting. We've had some brilliant Champions League football over the last couple of weeks, as the intensity of those semi-finals has been second to none. We've seen PSG the other night do everything. Bar put the ball in the back of the net. They hit the bars, they hit the posts, they did everything. Mbappe did everything he could to put it in, but again came up short. And we had Dortmund going through to the final. We seen the celebrations and all, Jadon Sancho and all the rest of it, unbelievable. But let us know your thoughts. Well, how did you all feel? Not just Mark. How did you all feel about this goal? And it seemed to be very, very abrupt in the way it was dealt with, didn't it? For me. And at such a pivotal moment. And a lot of the talk was people thought the ref had blown up for the game before the ball had gone in and all, but that wasn't the case. But it just seemed to be very quick in the way it was dealt with. Now maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was offside, boom. But let us know what you thought. I thought it was a bit rough in the way it was dealt with. And then obviously the linesman told me, sorry, I made a mistake, to Matthias de Ligt. But I mean, that's not much good to you, really, is it? You know what I mean? How did we feel also about Tuchel? How did we feel I mean, obviously he turned around and he gave us a little bit more insight and information after the game in relation to players carrying knocks and having to take pain medication or whatever it is to play and all that kind of stuff. So he knew that these guys were just dead on their feet and stuff like that. But if you're in the Bernabeu and you know that crowd, and look, whether you like Real Madrid or you hate Real Madrid, good Lord, the fans were unbelievable last night, right till the last minute. Absolutely sucked the ball into the back of the net. But how did you feel in general about it, and how it all panned out and stuff like that? Let's get Marky's comments in here. We'll go Acers first. New Liverpool Roma 84 European Cup final jersey, Graham Souness moustache. Absolutely awful call goal. Yeah, let's see what Marky has say. Should have kept the flag down till phase of play finished. Hard to tell if he would have scored if the ref hadn't have blown the whistle, as a few players stopped when they heard it. Yeah, it's a good call, but I just think, I don't know, it just felt at the time, didn't it? There was absolutely hysteria. Absolutely, the assistant ref panicked. 100%. But yeah, it was such a high profile game and stuff like that. And with Madrid, isn't it mad with Madrid? They just seem to always find a way. And that's like, that is the sign of the brilliance of a team and Ancelotti and stuff like that. But I do really feel with Tuchel, even in the information that he gave us afterwards about the players and stuff like that, I think, you know, he panicked and he went back to a back five. I think he was so close he could taste it. And I think he tried to shore up. And the worst thing you can do is try to shore up in the Bernabeu because it's not going to happen. Because when that crowd gets going and they get on the front foot, feels like you're up against 20 men. And it was absolutely crazy and bedlam. So this is our final. We have Dortmund versus Real Madrid. And I tell you, Dortmund were unbelievable the other night as well. Hummels, Royce, these players absolutely incredible to a man. And they'll give Real Madrid a good game, but ultimately I think, as Acer says, 15 is on the way, I think, for Don Carlo. No doubt about it. But let's see what happens. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, and especially on that decision and stuff like that. And it was kind of, I have to say, it was really, really, when they showed the images of Harry Kane sitting in the seat in the kind of back row area, and when he seen it, when they were out and his head just dropped, I really felt for him. I really, really felt for him. He's been so loyal to Spurs for years and just couldn't get over the line. And what a sensational player he is. Any of our teams will take him. Absolutely brilliant. And then he goes to Bayern Munich. And in a season where he moves to Bayern Munich, Leverkusen on the cusp of a treble, like losing the league, bowing out in the Champions League in the way they did. Like the guy just can't catch a break, And I have to say, he's been the butt end of a lot of jokes in this podcast at times, stuff like that. He's an absolute goal scoring machine. But boy, God, I did feel for him last night when you just see the energy leaving his body and just sitting down there and just the thoughts of rinse and repeat, same again. Like to go out and score 40 odd goals, or he's probably near 50 goals at this stage, to go out and score that volume of goals and to still have nothing to show for it must be an absolute killer. An absolute killer. Um, Acers. Rudy Voller is very anxious at Leverkusen game now. Yeah, let's see what happens. I tell you, things can unravel very, very, very quick. We've seen it with Liverpool in the quad season. 10 minutes, 12 minutes to go in that game to win the league. Pep brings the changes and boom, gone. And then you have to take the disappointment of that into a Champions League final against Real Madrid where you play absolutely brilliant, but you just come up against the absolute best version of Courtois that you'll ever come up against. And you can huff and puff, but you can't blow the house down basically. And it's just this is what happens. You can start out, and obviously Leverkusen have the league and stuff like that, but obviously they've aspirations for a lot more and stuff like that. So let's see what happens. Let's see what way it runs out tonight. We will definitely keep an eye on it here. I'm just going to bring it up now because I was going through the Premier League table. So yeah, so it's as you were, Roma 2-0 up, 80 minutes gone, 2-all on aggregate. Atalanta 2-0 up, 3-1 on aggregate. So we could be staring down the barrel. It could be a long night here by Leverkusen and Roma. Let's see what happens. 78 minutes gone. Olympiacos still 1-0 up against Aston Villa, 5-2 on aggregate. So Emery will be extremely disappointed. But look, he can still be very proud. He's had a great season in Europe, getting to a semi-final. Obviously, falling at the last hurdle with hurt, but also to get top four and have Aston Villa back in the Champions League. And just pause. I think Villa fans tonight need to pause at the disappointment of this, and they just need to think about that Champions League music at Villa Park next season is going to be unbelievable. So let's see how that goes. Right, let's get into this. Let's get your thoughts on this. So we've got player of the season, we've got young player of the season, and we've also got manager of the season. So we'll start with the other two first. So give us your thoughts. Who are you going for? Player of the season and young player of the season. And let me know you're thinking on it. We had a nice little debate today in our WhatsApp group and stuff like that about it and all. And, a lot of these players have had really, really good seasons. So start with your player of the season. Obviously, we got Foden, Haaland, Isaac, Odegaard, Palmer, Rice. Watkins, and Virgil van Dijk. Um, which is a kind of weird one for me because we got player of the season there. Virgil van Dijk, I'm a Liverpool fan. Everyone knows I'm a Liverpool fan. Um, I find it weird that Virgil van Dijk is in there. And not because he personally hasn't had a good season. I think you can see he's returned and had some really good form and stuff like that. But we haven't had a whole lot of clean sheets, really, have we? And when you think of players out there, like you think about players out there at the moment that don't get into this, the likes of Rodri, obviously KDB had his issues, he was injured and stuff like that and all. But surely Rodri has to appear somewhere on this list, doesn't he? Because he's the guy that really makes City tick. But let us know your thoughts. John is in. Big up, John. Thanks for joining us. Hi, do you think Slot will have much say in the players he wants, or Hughes and Edwards just buy who they want and he just trains them? Well, the model that they spoke about was that he was going to be the coach. But I think he has to have some input. I don't think they can just. I don't think it's a recipe for success if you don't include the manager in the thinking, because ultimately you can buy whatever players that you want, but it's the manager that. It's the manager that coaches them, and it's the manager that picks them on the Saturday, and it's the manager that puts together the formation. So I think he will have a say. I don't think he would be moving to Liverpool if he didn't have some sort of a say. But I don't think it's going to be like, where we seen at United, where Ten Hag basically kind of had more or less free hand and he was able to bring in and pick whoever he wanted and pay exorbitant prices for some of them and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll be in more a controlled manner and stuff like that. And, whereas there's a couple of tidy players there, Fioinord and stuff like that as well. I don't expect them to just go and poach a load of players out of there or poach a load of players out of the Dutch league. I think it will be more controlled. But let's see what happens. But I do think he will have an input. I think it would be naive of us to think that he doesn't have an input. But let's see what happens. Acers is going for Rice, was it? Yeah, Acers is going for Rice, so he's picking Rice. So make sure as well, think about this, folks, okay? Because obviously this comes out prior to the season finishing and stuff like that as well. So, right. So think about it both ways. You don't necessarily have to nail on someone. So let me know, what way does this go if City were to win the league? And what way does this go if Arsenal were to win the league? Because I really think if Arsenal win the league, and I said it today in our WhatsApp group as well, if Arsenal push through and find a way to win the league, I think you get a clean sweep here. I think you get Declan Rice, I think you get Saka, and I think you get Mikel Arteta as manager of the season. So let me know your thoughts on that. So give it a bit of thought that if it goes that way, if City win the league or if Arsenal win the league, because I think a lot of it hinges on that. Because if you think about City and you think about Arsenal, and we're thinking solely here now Premier League, folks, it's a toss of a hat, really, isn't it? And really, it's probably going to come down unless you're going for Cole Palmer or something like that. But it's really a toss of a hat, really, what way this goes, depending on how the league outcome goes. You know, like if City were to win the league, are you looking at Foden in there? I'm not sure whether Haaland gets either vote, because I think although he's up there number wise and stuff like that, I think by his own standard, he hasn't had the season that he would have expected, and he's had quite the drop off, and most people will say thank God as well. Acers is going for Foden or Palmer. So you're going for Rice, and then you're going for either Foden or Palmer in the young player Acers, yeah. Interesting. Mark is in. Player for me, Odegaard. I said that today, Mark. I said, as good as Rice has been, and Rice has been absolutely brilliant. The level at which Odegaard has reached this season, even compared to last season. And remember, last season, like, there was a lot to like about Martin Odegaard, but I think he really strings that team together. But I just don't know whether he'll be um the people's choice, let's say, you know what I mean? But I think if you watch football and you watch Martin Odegaard this season, and myself and Darren have been waxing lyrical about this guy for 2 years, at a time where Arsenal fans wanted him binned out the door and they were calling him Odegaard and all this kind of stuff. just the way he plays and the way he attacks and the way he arrives from deep and the way he links up the play and the way he sees things and all and stuff like that. He's been absolutely sensational. He may not be the captain that you want. He may not shout his head off. He may not do all these things that you expect sometimes from a captain. But he lets his football do the talking. And if you look at him in terms of box to box and how he goes back and forward and stuff like that, no, sensational. Now, listen, that's taking nothing away from Declan Rice, who is a top player as well. But it's such a difficult choice, isn't it? Young player Palmer, and how has Gary O'Neill not got a mention for manager of the season? But manager for me, Emery. Good shout. Guard is garbage. That's terrible, Aces. That's a terrible thing. What's the crack, Noel? Big up, Daz. How are you, my friend? Bayer Leverkusen 1, Roma 2. They find a way, Aces, don't they? And Olympiacos 2-0. That is the end of Aston Villa. Bow out now. Warren's in. Big up, Warren. It ain't happening, Noel. Arsenal aren't winning the league. Not a chance. Well, there's always a chance. But I think the expectation here is City at this stage to see out the 3 games. And listen, no one more than me has been on the end of that. No one more than me has sat in front of a TV clinging on to Aston Villa scoring goals, clinging on to Glenn Murray scoring for Brighton, and then Aguero strikes back. I have clung on to these moments time and time again. And it's horrible. And you can see what's going to unfold. I sat in this room here watching Company score that goal against Leicester. 30 yards out or wherever it was, volley past Kasper Schmeichel. It broke my goddamn heart. It broke my goddamn heart. And I know, and we'll come back on here next week or whatever it is, and we'll say, yeah, that's how it is. But I think you gotta, I think you gotta hold on, try and harness that positivity and see what happens. I know it's tough, and we know what the inevitable might be. Boy, God, you're not far wrong, Warren. You're not far wrong at all. I think Rice has been the driving force for that Arsenal team. He has, but in that tangent. And look at how good. Look at how good at times they've looked now with Partey back in there as well. Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. What a midfield. What a midfield. Who was on drugs putting Ndoki in there? Yeah, it's kind of random, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of like Ange got onto the FA, didn't he? Sure, isn't he the best manager in London, for Christ's sake, Morris? Surely you'd have to have a Spurs player in there, yeah? Warren, big up. Arsenal have 3 decent midfielders, Royce Partey, and Emile Smith Rowe. The rest are not title winning players. Odegaard is. Smith Rowe, I heard Smith Rowe might be is himself and Nketiah potentially going on a deal somewhere. I read that. Talk was it Ipswich or somewhere like that. I heard something like that on a podcast. Maybe it was just they were talking about it. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it's sad to see ESR, isn't it? The way his career has wound out, kind of. You know what I mean? Because he was such a baller when he was getting the chances and stuff like that, wasn't he? Heads in. If I remember correctly from last year, none of those Arsenal players are good enough, and they all need to be let go, and the manager as well, from an Arsenal fan's mouth. Yeah, well, I think last year was quite really disappointing in terms of the drop off. And this year, if it pans out the way a lot of us are thinking with City, I think it'll hurt even more. Because when you get that close, and then obviously you have stuff kicking into your head and your mind and stuff like that and all, will we ever get that close again? And that's the way I was with Liverpool and with Klopp. Will we ever get over the line? And then eventually we did, but when you're this close that you can absolutely taste it, and you'll look back at that Villa game and you'll go through games in your mind and what ifs and all this kind of stuff, but you got to remember some of those games for Arsenal this season as well, where they had to come up trumps right at the death and stuff like that. Rice in games and stuff. What was it, the game against Luton, was it, or something like that, where they came up trumps and ended up getting over the line and stuff like that? Was absolutely massive. And this is what it comes down to. It comes down to the next basically 10 days to 12 days, basically. This is the season. This is it. And all you can do is push through. All you can do is push through and win your games and position yourself that if it happens, and keep the pressure on. If Arsenal go out and do a job on United, at Old Trafford. That will send a message as well, and that will ratchet up the pressure, And then who knows? And look, with City as well, going down to Spurs and stuff like that, they don't sometimes fancy it there, and anything can happen. We could be going into the last day, and it could be unbelievable. Morris is in. Mainu token entry, 4 full games out of a mere 22. Jokers. Yeah, it's yeah, I know. He's been sensational though on such a poor side, hasn't he? He's been that, like, if you think about it from a United point of view, and Ted is in the chat here and all, if you didn't have Mainu to hold on to, what would you be holding on to this season? Like, he's been the one thing, it's kind of like Chelsea was kind of in the same boat. With Palmer as well, they were holding on to Palmer, but obviously they've some better players there as well. But with United, like the drop off in Casemiro, obviously Varane being injured, Lissandro, the injuries that they've had, Mainu coming in and to look so controlled and composed in that midfield under that pressure, And he looks one way, he's got Bruno Fernandes, he looks the other way, he's got Casemiro, and to go in there and be the guy, it says a lot about the kid. Whoever gets ESR will get a bargain. I will not be letting him go. Warren, it may not be a case that Arsenal want to let him go. It may be a case that maybe ESR wants to play. He's back off that horrific injury that kept him out for so long, and he's had a lot of injuries and stuff to deal with. Now that he's fit, he probably wants to play. So that may be the problem. He may not be willing to sit on the bench. Unfortunately for Arteta, will be announced new contract during lap of honour after Everton game. Yeah, it's just he's crocked Warren. He's crocked ESR. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, and I'd be very surprised if the club didn't cash in stuff like that. And I had the same conversation actually with Darren the other day about players and carrying players potentially who have injuries and can't see out. Players that can't play nearly for a full month without missing a game and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the case, but you can't in a league like this now. You can't be carrying passengers. You know what I mean? We've had it. We had it with Ox. We had it with Thiago Alcantara. These are brilliant footballers, but if you can't get them on the pitch, forget about it. Atalanta 3-0 up, absolutely cruising now. Full time actually, so Atalanta have gone through. Actually, just saying that there now. Bayer Leverkusen still 2-1. 3-2 on aggregate, I think it is, isn't it? Because they were 2-0 up. Yeah, 3-2 on aggregate. We're in 90 plus 4 minutes there. So we are staring down the barrel, folks, of potentially Atalanta versus Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League final in Dublin. And my heart says to me, could have been Liverpool. Could have been Liverpool. Could have been that fairy tale ending, but we don't get it. There you go. Bayer Leverkusen versus Atlanta, Dublin Aviva. Yeah, absolutely. So Arteta FC tell us, I don't believe anything they say. GP Productions. Possibly, he's been injury prone all the way through the academy. Being him off. No messing around with Morris. Morris ain't suffering fills gladly anymore. This is the real world now. This is where we go in. Also, folks, as I said at the start of the show, I know some of you mightn't have been here, but spare a thought for this poor lad who had a whole load of half and half scars there. I want to ask him, who's this team? Aston Villa. But good Lord. If you're walking out of the ground, I know you're going to be disappointed as an Aston Villa fan. Offer this guy a few quid for a scarf, will you? Good Lord. Offer him a few quid for a scarf. Right, let's get into the manager. First of all, let me know what you think of the nominations, and then let me know what you're thinking on it. It's kind of very random, isn't it? Somewhat. Stop that trolling, Morris. Mania 100% deserves to be in the Young Player Category Award. There you go. Absolutely. Sometimes he's been carrying Man United on his back. Yeah, that says a lot for a kid of that age who's come in. So I'm not shocked he's in there. There's players in there, millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of players in there being carried by him. The one who wins the trophy. You know, I always say that as well. If you win the trophy, you win the trophy. But it's 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 kind of a little bit unfair, isn't it, to recognise the really good work that some of these managers have done. Like Rayola at Bournemouth has done an unbelievable job there. I mean, they've played some really, really good football. The likes of Billing and Solanke and players like that. They've just done an incredible job this season. They've been outstanding. And sometimes you have to factor that in as well. You have to factor in that some of these teams only have so much to spend. They can only operate in a certain situation. You know what I mean? And that has to count for something. Like Emery getting top four for me is huge. And the debate that I had today was, if Arteta wins the league after 20 years of not winning the league, surely he has to be in line potentially for manager of the season. You know? But then you look at Emery and you look at Emery getting top four and bringing Aston Villa back into the Champions League and how good Aston Villa have looked all season. Okay, they fell away a little bit, but not as much. They had a bit of dip in form at home for a little while, for a couple of weeks and stuff like that. But at home, they were sensational for most of the season. And I firmly believe if Emery got to the final and had won the Europa League conference and got a top four, is he in line for it? And then I was thinking, well, if Arteta win, or sorry, if Pep wins it and he wins four in a row, is he the guy who should get it? So it's really, 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 really tough. Let's see. Warren, I'm sick of the nonsense going on at Arsenal. I am, and at least 3 or 4 Arsenal fans I know are on the verge of walking away from it, and we won't be back until the Cronkies and Arteta are gone. And walk away, Warren. This is the commitment that we make. You can't walk away. Warren, you've invested too much of your life in Arsenal to walk away. You have to see it out. Man, I've followed Liverpool all through the 90s and the 2000s. I didn't walk away. And that's been some road for me. That was 30 years. You're on kind of 20 years right now. Another 10 to go to feel my pain. And should be manager of the year. Give over you, will you? He's the best manager in London, isn't he? So what more do you want? The best manager in London. Bayer Leverkusen 2-2. There you go. They just find a way, don't they? They find a way. And the Zerbi. The Zerbi ain't getting on this list. No way. Everyone knows my thoughts on the Zerbi. He ain't getting on this list. Not a chance. Big up. Big up, Kyle. How are you? Big up, Warren, you legend. I missed your call today as I was working. Please ring me at 2:30 tomorrow, mate. I'll be on my break. Okay, thank you, bro. Absolutely. Big up, Kyle. Hope you're doing well, brother. We sent you a message, Kyle, actually, about coming on. You were mentioning about doing the show, I think. And big up to everyone. If you could check out the Tuesday Trash Up, which was a Tuesday version of the Monday Mashup, we had Tony Brown on from the Legends 11. And I think everyone in the chat enjoyed it. Tony was giving great stories. He sets up a lot of these Legends matches for Celtic, Liverpool, and Man United, and he was giving us stories on the road and stuff with the players and all this kind of stuff. And he was only supposed to be coming on for 10 minutes to basically promote the 4 matches coming up during the summer tour. But he stayed on for an hour and 15, and we great crack reminiscing about stuff. Myself, Mark, and himself, and Warren and Kyle had a great time in the chat and stuff like that, and all chatting, asking questions and all that kind of stuff. So it was great having Tony on, and we'll have him on more often. There's no doubt about it. I always try and seek out these League of Ireland guys all the time, especially because they have some great stories to tell. And if you go back through our back catalogue, where I was interviewing some of the guys and stuff like that, we've had some absolute legends on and some absolute ballers. So take your time and go back through the catalogue there. They're in there, the interviews that we did, and they were great fun. Everyone on. We had Paulo Sam, everyone was on, so with some great ones on. I don't think Pep has been at his best this year, so I'm not sure if he should get it. I think if Arteta wins the league, he gets it. If not, I think it's Emery. Interesting. Isn't it mad you think Pep's not being at his best and City have not been at the best, and yet there you go. Xhaka wins league title and European Cup for Arteta sacked. Granit Xhaka, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And what a season he had that last season at Arsenal as well. Considering where he was so toxic and poisonous to the club. And to come out and have that season last season and then go to Leverkusen and have the season that he's had is just mad, isn't it? When you think about these players when they leave, like you look at Jadon Sancho at the moment, absolutely eating his lunch in the car park at Man United, goes to Dortmund. Look at the season he's having. Crazy, crazy at times. Coyle, big up Niall. I missed your message on Insta, mate. Please let me know when we can do a stream again, okay? Absolutely, Coyle. No problem. As I said to you, if you're not available or it's, it doesn't line up, it's not a problem. We can always do it. I love having you on, Coyle, always. You know that, mate. Definitely might do something next week or something like that. We definitely meet you and Dell or something. And we are looking into, as Mark said the other night, folks, as well, we are looking at putting in something together maybe for next year. Going to do some sort of a charity match or something like that with a League of Ireland 11 versus an upper tier, stuff like that. And we'll get Coyle and Dell and all the boys involved and all. We'll have crack. We'll have a great day and stuff like that. And bit of fun. Mark will be there and all. And we'll have the crack, as they say. Tony was great on Tuesday. He was Teddy. He has some cracking stories, and he's a real old school guy as well, isn't he? He just loves football, and you can see he loves football. And the work they do at Legends 11 is absolutely outstanding. So if you do have an opportunity to go to a match, or you do have an opportunity to contribute in some way, get involved in it. It's absolutely brilliant. Look, I'm a Liverpool fan, and I've had some crack with Brian McClare. I've had some crack with John Hartson. That these are just great guys that we, at times we grew up on and stuff like that and all. And they look, no one more than those boys at times broke my heart and stuff like that. But absolutely loved meeting them and just reminiscing and chatting and all. And they're great guys. On Sancho, he had a great game in the Champions League, and I haven't been watching every game, but I actually don't think he's had a great season overall. Ted, you could be talking about a Champions League winner there. Hold that maybe for a couple of weeks. Good Lord. He's been, in fairness, he's been very good at Dortmund since he went there. He's been very, very good. So there you go. Yeah, so will we do a little bit of beat the bookie, will we? I'm gonna peel out my bet here, so can I get them up and see what I did. So I did 3 bets for us this week. So if you did a bet, folks, make sure pop it into the comments there if you fancy sharing it with people. So where do we see what way did I do this? So my first bet was result in both the score. Well, I'll just update Daz there. He's on holidays, Daz. He's over in Manchester for the next 4 days, and he's going to the Arsenal game at Old Trafford. So that's what Dazzler's up to at the moment. But he will be back next week to round out the final. Can you imagine this, folks? Next week is the final Thursday tier talk of the season. What a journey we've been on this season. And look, I have to say absolutely a massive thank you to all you guys and gals in the chat. Everyone that shows up all the time, each week and all. We have such fun on here. We laugh, we joke, we cry. We've had everything this season, haven't we? And next week is going to be pretty emotional. I have to say, I looked at a video the other day there of Jurgen Klopp, and I think it's going to be, whether you like him or you hate him, whether you're a rival or not a rival. I think for me, it's going to be really, 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 really tough. Look at this guy, Liverpool in the bin. Come on, you, come on. What do you think of Lopetegui? Now that you've jumped in, Lopetegui, the new gaffer, apparently. Lopetegui. The fraud has entered. There you go, you big fraud, Stephen. Absolutely. What do you think of Lopetegui going in, mate? And Moyes leaving the building. How you feeling? Lopetegui. Good Lord. Look at what happened to him when he didn't get his way out of Wolves, wasn't it? Let's see what happens. And Ted as well. 3 goals and 1 assist since he went back there in 18 games. Now, I know those aren't the only thing that matters. So maybe he's been playing great, but haven't been hearing people talk about him much. I think in the first few weeks he went back, Ted. I don't think he was used straight away. Sure, he wasn't. He was sort of broke in, and he was used primarily as a sub, as far as I know, from what I can remember. But I think if you look at the last maybe 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, he's been playing pretty decent and stuff like that. But again, check it out. There has been some moments and stuff like that, and I think we spoke about it at times. See Sancho the other night, that kind of thing, and all. I'm Lopetegui out already. Jesus. Hashtag Lopetegui out. Oh, good lord, good lord. Lopetegui is a fraud. Lopetegui is a downgrade. I think, look, how did you feel? Were you willing to hang on to Moyes? Obviously, it got a little bit. Got a little bit. I think with Moyes, I think it just became a bit too much and stuff like that, didn't it? But yeah, tough as well, isn't it? And Moisey there, on the back of after winning a European trophy as well. I looked at that picture the other day, Stephen. Not the picture with him and Moyes with the trophy, Rice and Moyes with the trophy. And I was thinking, isn't it mad the difference a season makes and stuff like that? Right, let's get into our bet. Result and both the score I did. So this one, folks, is worth just shy of 30-1. And of course, if you're having a bet, of course, gamble responsibly and all that kind of good stuff, right? Don't mess around with money that you can't afford to lose. So I went with Fulham versus Man City. I went Man City and both the score. I think Fulham at Craven Cottage, they're probably okay for a goal. So that would be that one there. Tottenham as well. I went Tottenham versus Burnley. I went Tottenham and both the score. I think Burnley are playing nice football at the moment and tend to pick up a goal or two here and there, but it won't be enough. I think Spurs ultimately will run out winners. So Tottenham about the score in that one. And then Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. I went Chelsea and both the score. Forest surely will have a goal in them against Chelsea at the Forest ground. But I think Chelsea ultimately will run out winners. I think they have found a bit of rhythm and a bit of form, and they'll want to finish strongly as well. Forest, of course, battling down their relegation, and Chelsea, of course, pushing to solidify a European spot as well. So that's a tasty game this season. Do not sleep on Forest at the City Ground or whatever it is versus Chelsea. Do not sleep on that this weekend. A lot on the line in that game. And then the final one was Arsenal. Man United versus Arsenal. I went Arsenal to win about the score. I think United will score, but I think Arsenal will run out winners. So that's my first one, and that's worth about 30-1. My second one is my goal scorer one. So for goal scorers, let's see. I'm Moyes out, but I'd rather have him instead of Lopetegui. Moyes is a rat. Sol Saha because he was lying the pipe down on the starter. The pipe down on the starter. Good lord. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Yeah, so this one I went for a goal scorer one. I picked out 4. Some decent pricing on this as well, and this one is worth 32-1. So I went for Phil Foden in Fulham versus Man City. Phil Foden, the score, in great form at the moment. What a season Phil Foden has had. Newcastle versus Brighton up at St James's. I think Newcastle could run riot on this one here because Brighton only know one way of playing and it certainly ain't defending, and I don't expect the Serbi with 2 games to go to change that. But I went for Anthony Gordon, another player who's had a fine season this season. Anthony Gordon. And then in Tottenham versus Burnley, although Burnley I think will be resolute, I think Tottenham at home with the fans there will run out winners, and I'm expecting maybe a nice little free kick from one James Maddison to round out part of his season. And then Forest versus Chelsea, there's only one man to pick at the moment at Chelsea, and that is Cole Palmer. So your 4 goal scorers are Phil Foden, Anthony Gordon, James Maddison, and Cole Palmer. And that will deliver you 32-1. And then my final bet is a bookings bet, card to be shown. And this has serious odds on it, folks. This is definitely worth €2 of anyone's money this weekend. This is 230-1. So you have a fiver on this, and you have your holiday in the Maldives covered, right? So I went to be shown a card. I went with Joe Palhinha, Fulham versus Man City. He's going to have his hands full in that midfield there with Rodri, De Bruyne and all. And I think it will get a little bit aggravated, and he could be one that could cough up a booking. I went with Ashley Young at Everton versus Sheffield United. This is kind of going to be I know Sheffield United don't have anything to play for, they're relegated. But they like a good old aggravation, a good old kicking match, don't they? And I think Ashley Young could be the one who picks up a booking here on the Everton side. Tottenham versus Burnley. I went with Emerson Royale. A Royale with cheese. So I went with Emerson Royale for Tottenham. Another one at times who can be a little bit erratic, and can often pick up a booking because kind of last man stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I went with Emerson Royale. And I rounded it out with Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea, and I went with the boy Malo Gusto. He was an interesting one for me to pick because I know Darren had picked him a few times, and one or two times he was the guy who actually let Darren down in his bet, where he was nailed on for one. But he does like the old battle El Malo Gusto, and more often than not can pick up a card. So your four players to be booked: Joe Palhinha for Fulham, Ashley Young for Everton, Emerson Royale for Tottenham, and Malo Gusto for Chelsea against Nottingham Forest. That rounds it out. That bet, folks, 230 to 1. A fiver on gives you way over a grand, and you'll be very happy sailing into the summer after that. They're your three bets for this week. We only have the three, obviously flying solo. Um, so, yeah, that's it. Another Thursday tier talk in the bag, just one to go. We will be back on Monday for the usual Monday mashup with Mark. He will be back giving us all his thoughts, and we will be looking into how the season is going to look from that point of view. Let's see what happens. Will it be as you were? Massive game coming up for City then next week. Two games actually to round out the season. And Arsenal obviously last day as well. So that's it, folks. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. And we will talk to you again real soon. I'll be back on Sunday with a preview for the Aston Villa game. My second last preview of the season. What a season it's been at times. Talk to you all again real soon. Cheers.